Don't engage alone. We do this together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got it. We got
New 52 book.
it. Somebody clip this.
Welcome to Comics League. I'm Jared, and I am here with Brandon from Avalon Comic. What's up, dude?
Hey, how we doing today?
Doing very well. So why don't you start off and the usual question that I normally ask all new guests is, what got you into comic books?
Really just this idea, honestly. I guess, I'll actually take it back a little bit, but The Walking Dead kind of really sparked my interest in comic books a little bit. Before I even knew The Walking Dead was a comic, I was a fan of the show. 3 seasons into it, I found out what it was a comic, so I started reading that. And then I really started getting into comics when we started doing Avalon and really appreciating comics for what they are after the fact.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's so many occasions when I'll be like watching a movie that I like haven't watched in a while, and then after getting back into comics, I'm like, wait, that was a comic book beforehand?
Yeah. It is. I feel like there's a lot of things, especially nowadays, that people take from comics. Make movies or shows or anything like small little projects from comics nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really weird. It's like Wanted's a comic book. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, wow. But so where did this idea for a story come from?
So Avalon basically was a story that I originally had an idea of when I was in high school, my senior year. I was a big zombie fan, obviously, and then it started with asking myself, how would I personally survive in the zombie apocalypse? And then wanted to do something with that. I didn't know anything about it, so I kind of put it away for a while. Met Alan. We kind of collaborated the idea a little bit further and made Avalon what it is today, and just kind of started writing it, and it started coming together.
Sweet. So yeah, and I have the website pulled up right here so we can talk about that. There you go. And yeah, so tell us about like the basic story of the book. What world does this take place in?
So yeah, it's a post-apocalyptic zombie story. You follow the Castle family through and through. We really wanted to steer away from the one main protagonist's hero journey. We wanted it to make the whole family the main protagonist. With that being said, it's a very diverse and group of people in the family, and there's a lot of depth to each one of the characters as well. We really wanted to make each character feel as if they would be a main character in their own kind of spin-off series. And with that being said, it's two things that we really focus on as well with these characters and for the story is mental health and physical health issues that people can deal with on a day-to-day basis, that people do deal with on a day-to-day basis. And we kind of wanted to make sure that was a prominent kind of deal with the zombie apocalypse and like how that affects people and how it would affect people in a real manner.
That makes sense because it's like a lot of like zombie things, they tend to focus on like the relatively peak physical and mental condition. And I'm like, dude, if like what happens in like The Walking Dead happened, I guarantee you people would develop some issues.
100%, and that was always my, gripe with it as well, is just like, I don't want to say nothing speaks of these things. That's not true. But I do believe that a lot of projects will kind of just show it for a brief moment and kind of, it'll just like backlog for the rest of it. Which is kind of annoying, because I always find that interesting as well. Like, because people deal with those things. People take medications. People have, things mentally they have to deal with, and physically they have to deal with. So how does that, kind of go with the apocalypse overall? And like you said, not everybody's going to be the Rick Grimes of a storyline. There's, a lot of us, aren't really, the guy that's going to make it all happen and have all the answers.
Yeah, exactly. And and again, that's kind of That is kind of interesting because in a market where like there's a lot of zombie books, and yeah, not a lot have ever like gone straight into what happens if happens like people's everyday needs in the case of like the world going to hell.
Right. That's that's what I'm saying. So it's one of those deals where I just, again, I don't think it was really exercised enough. Me being a fan of it alone, I didn't see enough of it. So, it kind of sparked it like, okay, let's really do this, and bringing that, element into this as well, but, originally the idea was just simply focusing on this family as a whole. And then again, these things kind of just started tagging along with it when Alan and I we were first kind of drafting everything, figuring everything out.
Yeah, and yeah, so that's actually really cool. So let's check out some art here. The art is really solid. I'm liking. Obviously, it's more of like a mature read in terms of blood and gore and all that stuff.
Yeah, 100%. So we decided to actually go with the black, white, and red for the interior cover, at least for the first 23 pages, and the last page will always have that splash of color. And I wanted to kind of keep it, the dark kind of feel to it as well, because I've always, being a Walking Dead comic book fan, I like the black and white, but I felt for myself it needed to have that red splash. If this is a horror zombie comic, we need kind of that, that blood and gore here and there, and really kind of articulate that. And Demetrius does an amazing job with the artwork and kind of portraying that kind of thing and making the intense feelings feel very intense and overwhelming.
Yeah, because I find that like a lot of books, when they're dealing with like that type of like violence and stuff, they tend to like wuss out of it in terms of like, they're like, can we really show this right now? And I think that's partly why The Walking Dead got as big as it was, because yes, they hold some stuff back like we talked about before, but in a lot of ways they showed a lot more than like everyone was ever used to in terms of this type of story.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that as well. It really, Avalon, The Walking Dead at one point did, really articulate on mental health, especially with Carol's arc in the comic for sure. Having her commit, there's like, killing herself and all that stuff too, and dealing with that as well in the comic book. Having her do that, so it really it brushed over it for a little bit, but like, like I said, like it was one of those deals where I feel like that's just it. It was brushed over, and that was one of the deals with I mean, that is one of the deals with Avalon, is like that's going to be one of these things that are constantly there and showcasing it as well, and the things that people deal with on a day-to-day basis. And one thing I wanted to kind of mention as well is it's not always going to be a dark kind of feeling to the world, because most times when I'm talking about it, it seems that way, but as you're reading it, there are some characters that do bring a lot of light in it. More specifically Andy and Miller, when they have their banter back and forth, you could tell right away that they're good friends, that they have like a brotherhood. You know what I mean? Like they've known each other for years. They're partners, and so they have a really good relationship with each other, and you can kind of see that with the dialogue as well. And actually, I'm sending you a link here as well, through the private thing, and that takes us to our Kickstarter. So it'll show actually some of the interior art and a little bit more that we're going to be kind of showcasing here now as well.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll change screen over. Here we go. All right. Here we go. All right. So, all right. Avalon issue 1 through 6. The season 1 finale. All right. So tell me all about this.
So yeah, we got our season 1 finale here, which is going to be issue 6 here. We have issues 1 through 5 currently out. Obviously, we're coming to the end of this finale. So a big goal for this, or I guess the idea of this first season, was really just going to show that changes were coming. From the very beginning of it, the apocalypse kind of happens. We set up this dysfunctional family. You could kind of tell that there's some issues amongst some of the characters. They have some feelings against one another for a little bit, and then the apocalypse is kind of just forced on them. And the issues to come, and up until issue 6 here, you kind of see how they're dealing with past issues and issues that the apocalypse is throwing on them. Because, and again, with this being a zombie story, people do, unfortunately die. So it's one of those things that you're going to be dealing with as well. So you're going to be reading a lot of that as well.
Sweet. So tell us about the perks that are available for this.
Yeah, of course. So we're Offering, obviously, we want to always offer PDFs for everybody as well. I know myself as a big physical reader, but we always want to make sure that people can get their PDFs as well. It's usually faster as well. We offer PDF catch-ups and just PDF of just the issue. We have a physical of issue 6 there that you're seeing right now on the screen. We're actually doing 3 covers. Cover B will be coming out soon, which is that. Cover G, we're calling it, is going to be a gold foiled cover of the cover 1. And one thing that we do with variants is a little bit different. We don't really sell it after the fact. We sell it on our Kickstarter and at live events that we attend. We don't sell it online or any other places as well. So if you did want to get a variant, you would probably have to get it on our Kickstarter here. But like I said, we do offer a PDF catch-up. We do offer a physical catch-up as well. We only did limited amount of physical catch-ups this year as well. I think we only have a couple left to offer. They were kind of going quick. And then we're doing like a supply crate, we're calling it, tier, where you get all the PDFs, all the physical products that we're offering, the 3 covers, a poster, and a cover print as well. But that poster there that you're seeing is 11 by 17. It's it'll be it has like a nice gloss tone to it as well. These are really nice posters where we get them from too. It makes it all that much better.
All right, sweet. And so tell us a little bit about, in terms of like where you see the story going. Like, is this a long-term thing, or is it a mini-series thing? Obviously, depending on how well it does.
Yeah, this will be an ongoing series until I kind of run out of ideas. So I have many arcs and in my head right now that when we talk in the writing room and trying to figure out what we want, we're pretty comfortable with having this thing going for many, many seasons ahead of us. I call them seasons. I know they're volumes and arcs, but we call them seasons. But we have many seasons in mind when we discuss this in the writing room, and especially having Demetrius a part of this as well, and really being able to showcase this story the way he does as well. It just allows us to kind of stretch things out and really, because he packs a punch when he kind of brings the page up, and we can really kind of articulate things a little bit differently and kind of expand it issue to issue rather than kind of condensing things and making it feel like we're forced to make it exciting and etc.
Sweet. And so besides the Walking Dead, like what other like series or pop cultural things were like part of the inspiration for this?
Yeah, so we have that as well here. Obviously being a huge fan of the zombie genre, The Walking Dead's on there, like I mentioned. Dawn of the Dead, the remake, is on there as well. That has a good, inspiration piece for me. 30 Days of Night is one of them. Stakeland is like a B-level like vampire zombie-ish movie. They're like vampire / zombies. Stakeland, they take a lot of inspiration from The Last of Us and the Crazies. We showcase, as well. It's just like a lot of those horror and survival kind of deals out there. We kind of really take a lot of inspiration from, and that grittiness as well. I'm a big fan of like having the grittiness a part of the project, that we're working on. We tagged the Sin City picture there as well, just because the art style alone just kind of reminds folks of, that Sin City kind of look with the black and white and the color.
That's dope. Okay, I gotta ask, have you ever read the DC series called Deceased?
It sounds so familiar, but I don't believe so. I've heard people talk about it.
It's basically the DC universe, but people become zombies.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of it. I never read it though.
So it's kind of like that. The difference is, since it's an alternate continuity, they can kill whoever they want. So it's like it gets really crazy, and that's kind of what this reminds me of. Let me ask you this: as a fan of The Walking Dead, what'd you think? I mean, of The Last of Us, what'd you think of the show?
It was a good one watch, is what I'll say. One time through, and that's coming from somebody who's rewatched The Walking Dead, countless times. I liked it, but I feel like they were lacking on so much, one of them being just seeing infected. I think out of the 8 episodes, what was there, like 10 minutes of screen time of infected or something like that? So it's just like, and it felt rushed, the 8 episodes didn't seem like it was enough episodes. I feel like they could have gotten away with 10 or maybe even 12. And again, show the infected a little bit more. It's about zombies, it's about infected. So I feel like we barely even saw that.
That's true. And I think part of the issue is probably from a budgetary reason, because it's like it's probably costs a lot to like dress up people like zombies like that. But it's part of the reason why I always like kind of cringe a little bit whenever Hollywood says they're adapting something, particularly comics or games, because I'm like, they're not going to do it 1-to-1.
No, and that's the unfortunate thing though too, is because some of these things that are comics or games or whatever that is would be such a cool adaptation on the big screen. But if it was done correctly, you know what I mean? Like the Last of Us would be amazing if it was done with the proper budget. And I know what you're saying as well with the budget. I do think they were a little concerned because The Walking Dead just ended, so they were like, did people have enough zombie? Or no, I think The Walking Dead was coming to an end, is what it was.
Yeah,
they were like, were people zombied out? I don't know if they invested everything like they made it seem like.
Plus, you also had the Resident Evil movies, which people didn't like. So it's like,
so I feel like they were just like, we'll see. It sounds like a good idea. Let's try it. And people did. It was a good show. I feel like it got good reviews, but it's just like I said, to me, it was a good one watch. Like I won't watch it. It doesn't have any rewatch value to me.
I see.
Which
Yeah,
is
exactly.
Unfortunate, because I love the world of The Last of Us.
Yeah, it's actually really cool. And the thing about it is like the sad part is like, if you didn't like the Last of Us Part 2, that's kind of what they're adapting in season 2. So I'm like, oh no.
I know. I hope, which I don't think they are, but I hope they do it a tad bit differently, like stretch it out a little bit. And everybody who knows the Part 2 thing knows what we're talking about, I would imagine. But I know. It's funny too, because it's like, my wife watched it with me. She liked it. So it's like she doesn't know what's coming in season 2 here. And I'm imagining they're going to do it very similar way. So it kind of sucks.
Well, because I went through this with the Halo show. Whenever anyone's calling for like they should adapt this and turn this into a movie. And I'm like, be careful what you wish for, because here's the problem with it. The people in Hollywood may claim that sometimes they're like big fans of the IP, but it's a red flag whenever the actress who played Ellie said she had to go behind the director's back to play the game.
Yeah, no, especially with like the actors, I feel like it's very easily kind of like lied about, where it's like, oh yeah, I played that, I love that game, I feel like the people who are producing it and stuff like that are true to it, but maybe not all of them, but the actors can very easily lie about it, like you said, but I don't know. I do understand what you're saying though too. It could be a very like hold your breath kind of deal, or don't hold your breath kind of deal, because it's probably not going to be adapted correctly.
Well, in a lot of ways it can't always 100% be adapted correctly, because there's some stuff that is not going to translate well from gaming to movies or comics to movies and such, and we have to like understand that there is a little bit of wiggle room in this. Just the problem is it still has to feel like the project that we're like they're adapting. Like it has to feel like The Walking Dead, where you have zombies in a zombie show.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest and really the only critique that I would have for The Last of Us. Again, other than the pacing of it, I feel like they could have went a couple more episodes, but it was really just not having infected in a zombie kind of ish story, So it was just kind of annoying that way, but.
But when they did have it, here's the problem. When they did have the infected, it was cool. That's the thing. I'm like, you can do this.
It's not like it was like messed up or it was dumb every time it was on screen. No, they were like awesome. They were actually like a cool, different, than the game. Actually, it was like a different, kind of thing. And that was kind of like they went out on a limb there as well, changing the infected a little bit and how it spread, and it worked. People actually liked it. So it's just like, but you just didn't show it. I don't know.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like the other thing I think it goes on to, I think it like applies to is like Hollywood is over reliant on CG, and that's kind of where the cost comes in, because it's like this way. I saw Alien Romulus, loved it, but they did a lot of practical work on that with the aliens and stuff. And I'm like, if you take the time to make like to go as practical as possible, because you could, for the most part, like to a certain degree, like practical up the in fact in The Last of Us. If you go a little bit more on the practical side, it would cost less, but it will look better. That way you can put more in there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's like you said, like Hollywood's been really going towards like a CGI kind of look to it, and it's not. A lot of it too, you can like really tell, and it really doesn't look well. And like you said, like I haven't seen the Alien Romulus yet, but I've heard amazing things about it, and I want to see it too. Yeah, I want to see it so bad. A lot of people are saying it looks just like or feels just like the original one. So it's just like
it's taking place in between 1 and 2. So it's like it skips the bad ones.
Yeah, exactly. So no, that's an awesome kind of feel to it, and it's exciting to kind of hear about as well. But the unfortunate thing is I haven't had a chance to get around to it yet.
But it's a good one, and that's the thing. It's like you could kind of. I was thinking about this today. You could kind of, when you think about it, Alien is a zombie movie to a degree.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I was watching it from like the corner of my eye because somebody was watching it around me, and I was watching it. I was doing other things. And I was like, it really does. It really can go that direction, I guess, as well. It's like which one was it exactly? I'm trying to think of which one was it. It was Covenant, I think. Not exactly, but it was just like it just has like, I know what you're saying, like that space zombie kind of feel to it, like some space weird crap going on as well, and really showcasing it in that way. But it definitely could be.
Well, even in Prometheus, when the dude's head falls in the goo and then he comes back as like essentially a zombie and kills people, I'm like, hey, there you go, right there.
Space zombies. It's a thing.
It's kind of space zombies, or it's space zombies designed by someone that really wanted to screw with the human form. So
right, huh?
When you look at those original H.R. Giger like paintings, I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, you're like, oh, here we go. Yep.
Yeah, but and the thing about it is like the thing, I'm not going to spoil it, but the thing that I liked about Romulus specifically is that it while the other ones felt very progressively, they got more stupid.
Yeah. But
this one actually like we said before, it actually feels like it's taking place in this time period. It feels like an alien movie. There are sometimes it feels too safe, but that's besides the point on that.
It's also reassuring to hear, and that's also a lot of what I was hearing from people who did see it, and it felt that it did feel that way, and it's nice to hear that, and it gives me hope when I watch it that I won't hate it. So I really do genuinely think I'm going to enjoy this movie.
If you see it and you hate it, you can DM me and say, "Screw you, Jared! I hated the movie."
Like you steered me wrong.
There you go. Or it's like, speaking of space zombies, we also have the Flood in Halo.
Yeah, wasn't that? I didn't watch that one either. Did that really get time to shine yet, or no?
In the show, yeah, they had an entire episode that basically deals with a flood outbreak. They changed some stuff in there. Well, actually, they didn't necessarily change some stuff in terms of how the flood works, but they treated it extremely like a zombie show. For as much as they were able to do with ratings and a budget, they nailed it. As far as it's about one of the few things they nailed in that show. That's Halo.
That's really, really cool. Then that could be done very, very well. I mean, it sounds like from your perspective, it was like I'll have to watch it because that could be a really cool kind of interpretation of like, again, space zombies, where it's just like a cool kind of like feel to that, and it's just that could get very scary quick too. You know what I mean? Like,
particularly if you're reading the games and the zombies can actually use guns and vehicles. I'm like, well, that's all of a sudden I'm being shot up by a tank driven by a zombie. I'm like, oh no.
That's what I'm saying. That could be done in a very cool, scary way as well. And I'll have to watch that episode too. But
there was a chapter of one of the Halo novels that's from the perspective of someone that's infected by the flood. And you kind of see they're basically a passenger in their own like form, and it's like they're seeing all this stuff happen, and I'm like, well, that is terrifying.
Yeah, it definitely would be. That's kind of a cool kind of look at it as well.
Yeah, exactly. And so let me. So I saw Dawn of the Dead is on here as a recommendation. I gotta ask. So would you happen to be a fan of Zack Snyder's work in terms of movies?
Yeah, no, there's I mean there are some I don't really care about, but there are actually a lot I do. You know, Zack Snyder, obviously the Dawn of the Dead was a good
Yep.
one. I did enjoy his Man of Steel. Obviously, that's going off of like the horror kind of realm. I didn't enjoy his interpretation of the Justice League, not the Justice League that we got.
Well, yeah, that's not a very high bar there.
Yeah, no, but you know, my favorite thing, you know, that he did though too is it was funny when I would talk to my dad about it, like I really want like a black and gray suited Batman, and then like a year later, Zack Snyder came out and was like, okay, we're doing this, and then they revealed the Batman, and I was like, that's awesome. That's probably my favorite suit to this day as well, as that black and gray and that just bulky, just brute of a man.
He looks like he's gonna go through a wall.
Oh, geez, yeah, no, that I it sucks to this day that we didn't really get a Batman movie with Ben Affleck. You know, I have no problem with Robert Pattinson either. You know, I did enjoy that movie, but I think we were robbed of a Ben Affleck movie. You know, that would have been awesome.
Particularly when they market it as, okay, so remember those CGI trailers for Arkham Origins where he's fighting Deathstroke? It's that. And I'm like, what? I want that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's just like, why didn't? Dude, that would have been awesome. I think, you know, people still talk about it to this day. I always see it kind of on my, you know, Twitter feed and all that too. It's just like people still kind of bring that up and like, oh, we need Ben Affleck back. Maybe because I'm liking that stuff and sharing that stuff.
Probably, I'd imagine so. That's the way Twitter works.
Yeah. So, but no, that still would be awesome. And I hate how they keep playing with my emotions a little bit. And they're like, oh, Ben Affleck said he would return. Oh, this might happen. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, it might happen.
I'm like,
no,
just
like,
say
dude,
definitively yes or no at this point.
I know. Like, Ben Affleck's going to be like 60 soon. Just yes or no.
Well, actually, if he's 60 and returns as Batman, he would be the Dark Knight Returns Batman. So that actually does kind of work there.
Yeah, I guess it would. I mean, like, how would he look though? You know, stature-wise, like, you know, he didn't like doing the. It was funny watching his interviews. He didn't really like getting bulked up for Batman himself. You know what I mean? Like at his age when he started it, it was always kind of funny. Me and my cousins would watch those interviews, and we would always laugh at it because he's a big fast food eater guy. You know, we are too, and I am too. I love a good McDonald's meal, but when he would talk about like the fries from Wendy's and Frosties and all that, it killed me every time.
So Batman is a junk food eater.
Yeah, 100%.
There you go.
He vouched for it.
Yeah, but it's so yeah, and obviously Dawn of the Dead. I mean, I recently watched it for the first time, and yeah, because my first zombie movies were the Resident Evil movies, and I know that's like, oh no. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Try watching those movies and then going to the games. I have never been more confused in my life. I'm like, what the hell happened here?
If they would have done the movies just like the games from the get-go, it would have been like amazing. Like, I didn't mind the first couple Resident Evils, not that it had anything to do with really the games, but then they started getting so like crazy and off the wall, and you're like, what is this anymore? I don't even know what's going on.
The minute they gave her mind powers, I was like, wait a minute here.
This is not fun anymore. It's like you're taking away the whole concept of what it was. I guess, you know, where they were at the time. You know, now it just, even the games are kind of all over the place. But
I did enjoy the Welcome to Raccoon City movie, because that was a little bit more like, okay, here's the first two games. There you go.
Is that the animated one?
No, it's they essentially rebooted and did like a movie that like that essentially is combining RE1 and 2.
Okay, I didn't see that. I heard actually, and I don't watch a lot of animated things, but I heard the Resident Evil animated, I don't know if it's a series or whatever, are pretty good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I've heard that, and I have to actually get around to doing that, because I would actually like to have some sort of Resident Evil thing do justice for it as well, because I don't care too much about it anymore. You know, like kind of like you were saying, it just, a lot of it gets far-fetched and it gets kind of too annoying for me, and I don't really care for it.
I remember playing one of the games. I'm like, how do I activate my mind powers?
Yeah, right. Like, let me do this real quick.
I'm like, what the hell? But it's like the first two ones, Yeah, they didn't necessarily go with the Resident Evil plot, but at least they kind of felt like it, or they were taking place in events where, okay, there could be Leon and Claire could be somewhere here. But the minute you get to like 3 and on, I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, right, exactly. And it just, I think that was perfect. 3 and on, literally, like you said, is where it started to just go crazy, and you're like, I don't know what's going on anymore.
Because all of a sudden it just turns into Mad Max, and I'm like, wait.
Yeah,
This is cool, but don't call it Resident Evil. Just call it generic zombie thing.
And right, that's the unfortunate thing though too, because it just got off the charts and it just made it stupid. Because like I said, like when it first came out, like the first movie, I was like, this is awesome. When did I even come out? Like 2000 or something, or
early 2000s or so.
It was like, yeah, either 2000 or like 2002 or something like that. And it was just like so unique, not unique, but like it was so cool at the time because there's been nothing like that movie wise. And then it just goes off the deep end, and I'm like, oh great, I don't care anymore.
Yeah, that's the weird part about Hollywood adaptations, when they feel the need to improve the property. Then I'm like, no, do not find a way to make this work, but please do not try and put your own spin on here.
Yeah, and then they take it too far, and it's it's just one person's idea, and not a lot of people agree with it, and then they do it, and then they ruin a whole franchise, and it bothers me.
Or it's like what the Halo show, like the first season, it was literally, from what I've heard, just a generic sci-fi show that someone was trying to shop around and they couldn't get anyone to sign off on it, so they just slapped Halo on the title.
Wow. Is that true, or is that
I think that's true. I think that's true. Season 2 is where they actually got people that actually played the games, and you can tell. Because here's the thing. All right, so in Halo Season 1, okay, how much action do you think should be in Halo?
I would think a fair share.
All right.
That's basically the game.
So there's 9 episodes in Season 1. So we'll take it as a 9-hour movie. There's 30 minutes of action.
Jeez. It's just like
a lot of it is just people talking. Yeah. Chief takes off his helmet, which that's itself is in the first episode.
Yeah, I saw that as well. That should have, if they did it at all, it should have been at the end of the season. They should have stayed true to that, where it was like not. Again, they tried putting an actor to a character when you don't need that, because the character is iconic already. You know what I mean? It's not like you need to make Master Chief iconic. Master Chief's already iconic. You know what I mean? You already had that from the games.
Their excuse was that, well, there's not really a rule like there is in Star Wars with the Mandalorians that he has to keep his helmet on. I'm like, yeah, but the fans have that rule. He doesn't take his helmet off.
Yeah, I mean, do you really? Yeah, do you need a true rule not to just not fall? That's yeah. No, I didn't know all that noise as well. I knew he took his helmet off, but I didn't know it was that soon.
A lot. Yeah. There was legit an episode where it's off on practically, and I'm like, what the hell? Now you're just screwing with us.
Yeah, no, that's kind of unfortunate. That's crazy that's the statement as well. Where it's
but
like,
then season 2 is a legit action movie. Season 2 is when they finally got it, because they got someone that actually understands Halo. Hence why you got the flood, and actually more than a half hour. Every episode in season 2 has an action scene.
Okay, good. That's good. That's good to hear though too. It just sucks that the whole first season's out. You know what? They did 2 seasons, and now they're shopping for another. I don't know, production or whatever.
So that's why when you talk about the Last of Us not having a lot of zombies, I'm like, I feel your pain, brother. I feel your pain.
Yeah. So it definitely does sound very similar to The Last of Us. There.
Even though, see, here's the sad part about The Last of Us, because I watched a few of the game cutscenes after watching the show, because I don't have a PlayStation, so I can't play it.
Yeah,
they got a lot of it like screen to screen practically. That's the interesting part about how they really were able to copy this.
Yeah, no, they definitely did. That's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of it was done very well. It was missing on the zombies, and it was missing, and not that it was missing. I think it was just it was way too fast. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It felt like it was rushed to get to where we were. Before we knew it, it was like the end of the game essentially. Like, I just remember being in like the last step or like the last 2 episodes. I was like, well, this is it. We're already almost done. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we didn't get a lot of what just I don't know. I don't know. It just
Well,
I'm upset with it.
the thing about that is is that the problem with that is that you also have a lot of writers that want to pad out certain parts in order to like give us a full story. The problem is then you end up like near the end of the season and have to like scramble to end the episode and to actually end the game because you're adapting a video game. You
Yeah.
can't say at the very least if they wanted to pad it out, just have season 1 be part 1 of the game. Then you can pad that out.
That's the thing though too, is like even like the last episode of The Last of Us when he did like that whole like fight sequence of in the hospital to go get Ellie,
Which was great.
what I mean, it was great, but it was like 4 minutes. It wasn't even that long. It wasn't even like a fight. It was just like him in slow motion, just aimbotting everybody, and you're like that was the climax to the show. Which I thought was okay. It was just like, but it was so short. Like that's a huge thing in the game when you're playing the game. Like it's this huge thing. It's this huge fight. Trying to get back to Ellie and all that stuff too. And I don't know.
It's that's the real thing there. That's the tragedy because like you would think that moment would be like the part where you really want to stretch it out, maybe see him resort more to brutality to save Ellie.
Yeah.
Now they're like, okay, he saves her. I'm like, wait, what? I want to see that.
I know. I don't want to see aimbot. I want to see gritty. I want to see him like how he was beating that dude's face, like in what episode 1 or 2.
Yeah,
where he's beating. That's what I'm saying. I want to see that. Like that's like. Because he grew to like love Ellie and all that stuff too, and which I don't think they kind of elaborated on their relationship enough either. That was another thing.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like they were just like, okay, they love each other now. You know what I mean? Like it just like at least with the game, you felt the bond slowly and naturally. In the show, it was like they had some bonding moments, but I didn't feel like. I was like, where's the love? You know what I mean? Like, you're just telling me they love each other now. I don't see it. You didn't really show it to me and give me enough time to kind of comprehend that that's what it was. Like, and again, like, I knew that was the case, but it's just like, they didn't do a good job making you feel it. And
that's the problem. It felt like a lot that they didn't have the priority straight because, yeah, essential part of the game is Joel's relationship with Ellie. That's what you stretch out. That's what you like puff out with extra stuff. But you choose this other stuff to like stretch out. Like let me put it this way. There should not have been an episode just on some side characters that play a part in the game. And the story was good. I get that. But and this is my problem. It's like it's a show about The Last of Us. It's about Joel and Ellie.
Yeah.
You give an episode where they don't show up ever.
That's the thing, though, too, is like I understand bottle episodes and you need to do something else, but you can't do bottle. This is the problem I had with the spinoff series of The Walking Dead. You can't do bottle episodes when you have 8 episodes.
Exactly.
That's not enough time to do a bottle episode. So when you have 8 episodes, you can't have a bottle episode. You can't have something where it's just like, okay, here's these 2 characters that like you said, they're in the show. But not, mean really nothing. Even when Joel and Ellie got there, it was like whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's just these guys that he knew and that they had a relationship with, and that was it. It could have just simply been that, or their sequence when Joel and I can't even remember. Tess went back. It could have just simply been that, and I would have felt the same exact way. You know what I mean? Like you said, it was a good episode, but when you have 8 episodes, you can't waste a minute.
Yeah, if you want to do these side stories, you have to put more episodes in there.
Yeah, it's as simple as that.
Particularly when you're adapting a predefined story like the game, where you have certain events that have to happen, and when you have an entire, it would be one thing if that was maybe like half an episode, and the rest of it was Joel and Ellie.
Yeah,
when it's the entire episode, that's a problem.
That is a big problem, and that's again, like I said, like Do I know that's the goal for the story is, and that was the thing, like Joel and Ellie in the beginning, Ellie was just a burden. Okay. Now he's protecting Ellie because, Tess asked him to, so he does it. So then, they have to travel half the world or half the country together. And then they do. Okay. Now over that time span, they grow a relationship. There's actual chemistry. There's time. There's, and the most important word there was time. There was no time in between when they were telling that story. It was just like, burden, here we are. Now they love each other. Okay, I'm gonna go kill people now to go save her. I just felt like it was just bang, 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 bang.
Which see, here's the thing: it's not like The Walking Dead doesn't have like a big story for them to adapt. It's not like they had to stretch out a lot of stuff. And it's not like it was a small story that they had to stretch out, because that's one thing. I get it if that's what they need to do, but you're adapting like a multi-hour video game.
Yeah. I agree. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's just like, I don't know. It really could have been hit. And again, I didn't really have any serious problems with it. I still enjoyed it. It just like, I'll never rewatch it. You know, even when I go to watch the season 2, I'm not going to sit through season 1 again. I don't care. You know, I don't care enough about it. You didn't make me care, so why would I? That's at least
compare this to The Walking Dead, where because there were so many episodes in that season, you could have an episode where it's like just following some random characters, because they're gonna pick up the plot later,
right? And somehow still make sense to the plot. You know,
that's true. True.
And I mean, even with The Walking Dead, again, you know, I will argue, because they did have 16 episodes. I get that. But even in the earlier seasons, when they had the 6 episodes in the first season, then the 13 episodes in season 2, they still made you care. That rewatch value to me for season 1 and season 2, honestly, the whole series up until 7 really is, I think has amazing rewatch value. 7 and 8 get dicey. I can admit, as a Walking Dead fan, they definitely get dicey. I believe that's budgetary reasons. And then 9 gets good, and 10 and 11 are pretty good too. They're all right, But those first 6 seasons, I could sit down and watch at any time and really enjoy it still.
That's why for a lot of pop cultural items like games or comic books, I wouldn't go with a movie for adapting. You should really go with like a big show, like a long season show, because that way you can just stretch out and talk about everything of the show. That's the other thing about Halo, is that it was a relatively like 8 to 9 episodes. And I'm like, can we stop with the 8 to 9 episodes thing for adapting the stuff? Because it's not working. You're leaving out important details.
Or again, split it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe game 1 of Halo could be season 1 and 2. That was a funny thing, even with The Walking Dead. I feel like they did that with just source material. Sorry, excuse me. There were so many things where one season seemed like it was just like a few issues from the comic, and then, you know what I mean? Like, and they had to part 1 and part 2 some things. So just like really stretch out things and articulate on some things that feel necessary, feel deserved. I mean, like, you could easily, I feel like, do part 1 and part 2 of the first Halo game. I feel like there's enough content, enough material there as well to kind of allow things to breathe. There's enough action there as well. And actually, I would even argue more so for Halo 2. There's so much material for Halo 2. It's not even funny. It's just like, could be a good double season 1.
I was watching a YouTuber talk about, here's how you make a Halo show. Just make each episode just a mission from the game.
And that could definitely be it as well, right? Seriously, because I mean, I feel like there was that definitely could have been good enough. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel
I would have been like, okay, fine. I know what the story is going to be, but I don't care, because I'm seeing the game like straight up
and like live action, and I guess, and you still could change here minor things. You know what I mean? You can still change minor things and kind of have fun with it in that way. But like you said, like if you stick to like the issue to issue make, but.
Here's the thing. They literally released a novelization of the game before Halo 1 came out. Just adapt that. That's all you need right there. Yeah. If you have a script.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree with that 100%. I really do.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where, like, that's right with me. Whenever I hear they're doing an adaptation, before I get excited, I'm like, okay, just wait. Just watch the trailer. Because really, it could turn out like you got. And whenever anyone says, "Oh, I was a big fan of this project," I don't believe anything they say unless they're Henry Cavill.
Yeah, I mean, because Henry Cavill's actually. I mean, even
he's a fan.
Can you actually say in the beginning of him saying it, you believed it? He's just proving it. You know what I mean? That's what the proof's in the pudding with that, as well as Henry Cavill's said it time and time again. But the proof's in the pudding. Like, he's showing it. Like he showcases it, and he nerds out. You know what I mean? So,
well, the other fact is, like, the rumors that he was difficult to work with is just because he said, no, stick to the book.
Yeah. But I'm telling you right now, that's gonna bite him too, big time. I've watched a couple episodes of The Witcher. I love him.
First season's fine. First season's fine. So after that, it goes nuts. I've heard.
Yeah. I haven't really watched after that though as well. And like I said, I'm a big fan of Henry Cavill. I really want him to get the Bond role as well. But
he would make a fantastic Bond. Are you kidding me?
He'd be such an amazing Bond. And that movie that he just did as well, that long titled movie, I can't. Where they plays like the British guy or whatever.
Oh, the League of it's like
a Gentleman, whatever it is. It's like a 9-hour or like 10 words in one title. That's an amazing movie. If you've seen that, if you haven't,
I haven't watched it. But the thing about it's like he's doing the Warhammer show, which I'm still convinced is not going to happen because of how Amazon keeps changing stuff in the source material.
Yeah.
I'm just like, come on, guys.
100%. No, I definitely like Henry Cavill and his work and what he does and what he stays true to as well. So I kind of follow him around in project that he does.
It's interesting when he uploaded to YouTube a video of him just putting together a PC and that went viral.
yeah, that's fun. That's hilarious.
Or like he posts about painting Warhammer models. And I'm like, as soon as I start seeing you posting on social media, you painting Warhammer models, then I start to believe, this guy's a nerd.
He means it when he says that,
He has his nerd cred. He has, or I love, there's a video of him where Suicide Squad, the movie, was coming out, so he put on a mask and got everyone to sign his T-shirt, and then he lifts the mask.
That was awesome seeing that video kind of go around too. That was definitely a cool thing. It's like there was this one hilarious thing where there was an exhibition of the Batmobile. He put a decal on the back of the Batmobile that says Superman was here. Yeah.
He gets it. He gets it.
He definitely gets the. And actually, he even vouched for the like nerd fan bases and people who are very how do you say? Yeah, passionate. He was using the word passionate. Everybody else was saying crazy or whatever. He's like,
I mean, there are some fans that do take it.
Oh, sure.
Really far.
Sure. But I do respect that he kind of defended fans as well through and through, all of them for that matter. And really calling it passion rather than craziness. Because that's ultimately what it is. It really is just a passion for what they love. A lot of people, this helps them through a lot of things. Helps them through life and just daily things and keeps them happy. And when we're talking about things getting turned into movie adaptations or show adaptations, they want it to be the way it's supposed to be. And not a lot of times they feel
like it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: it's like even Halo Season 1, it didn't feel like Halo because guess what? The aliens don't show up that much in Halo.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect wording or verbiage for it too. Is I want to be able to feel the same thing I felt when I was playing it, and that goes a long way with anything, nowadays. And I guess ultimately, bringing it back to The Last of Us, did I like the show? Yeah, I just didn't have that same feeling when I played the game. You know what I mean? I didn't have that connection to the show like I had with the game, and just because they were missing on some key points of it.
Yeah, and one of the things that I come into conflict with a lot of fans that whenever anyone says, okay, so that's not Superman, that's not this. And I'm like, yeah, but see, here's the thing. It may not, what I always tell people is, it may not mean anything to you, but it's like, it could get another person into the franchise. Like maybe someone sees the show, goes and plays the game, or me. I watched Man of Steel and then got into comic books. So instead of discounting it, you got to realize that this will bring someone into the hobby.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a true statement. And I've heard that time and time again. And I agree with it every single time because it's ultimately the reason I kind of got into comics was because the show. I watched the Walking Dead show, which then turned me into buying the comic book of The Walking Dead, and then in turn basically made me pick doing a comic book for this idea as well. So ultimately, that's how the chain reaction kind of works.
Yeah, and are there great adaptations that make changes but then still stay true to the spirit of the source material? Yeah, absolutely. It happens all the time. James Bond is based on a book. It's not a movie, and they still get that. Or it's like in The Walking Dead, they still got like the feeling of hopelessness and stuff from that series. And yeah, they're going to have to change some stuff because there's some things that you can put in a comic book that you can't put on public TV.
Yeah, which would be a little, which is understandable as well, and I think that's understandable amongst a general consensus of people. You know what I mean? Like there are some things that you can't ultimately put on there, and you know, like you said, public TV as well, and but it still felt the same. And I think, like you said, that I think that word goes a long ways. That it still had that same feeling. Hence why there's 11 seasons of it. You know, so as long as you bring that feeling, it's still possible. Don't blame it on like the fan base or whatever for not liking it. Don't blame it on the creator of it, you know. So
because the IP that you're adapting exists because of the fan base. That's what a lot of these creatives don't realize. It's like, this way. It's like when you get to Halo with the Halo show, I keep going, but that's just because it's a great example. Season 1 didn't feel like Halo. It felt actually more like Mass Effect, but less like Halo. Season 2 felt like Halo.
Yeah, so that's
110%.
good to hear. But like you said, that's what you want. You want that feeling. You want the
or it's like Alien Romulus feels like Alien.
Yeah, rather than the bad ones towards the end there. I mean, I didn't mind. Yeah, I didn't actually mind Covenant or Prometheus as
Me neither.
Well either. It kind of started to feel that way again.
They're not as good for sure as the originals.
Oh, sure, no,
but they're still like interesting movies that try and take like the IP and like redirections.
Do something cool
I even tolerated 3 Resurrections. I have a love-hate relationship with.
Oh man, those it's been a long time since I've seen those, so I have no idea. I couldn't even comment on them.
Yeah, but that's why a lot of people like Alien Romulus, because it rehashes some stuff, but it feels like Alien.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad still to hear that, you know, and it gives me,
it's like
good
with
feeling.
Prey, it feels like a Predator movie.
That's another thing I haven't seen that I've heard as well.
Oh, dude, watch it.
Yeah,
watch it.
I know. Actually, aren't they talking about making another one or like a sequel to that?
I'm not sure if it's a sequel, but I think it's Hunting Grounds or like Badlands or something like that. But it's another Predator movie. If they do what they did with Prey, they're fine. They are 110% fine.
That's good to know though too. And you know, it sucks because there's some of those movies that had good like potential, but fumbled. They just fumbled.
Like Aliens versus Predator.
Yeah. That had some good potential. They like actually, in the beginning made that like a real thing. And then was like they dropped the ball with that, and it's
the second movie when you can actually see what's going on is good. But anyway, so speaking of seeing what's going on, another thing I really love, I love when like it's black and white like this, but then you put a color in there like red, because the blood in this stands out instead of like being like lost in a sea of color.
Yeah, 100%. And that's kind of the deal. And like I was mentioning earlier, as well as like being a fan of the Walking Dead comics, it was cool. But like I said, I needed that blood. I needed that like that eye candy, that stimulant when I'm reading a horror zombie comic as well, to kind of show that. Yeah,
because you can't, if you're going for like a zombie comic in the vein of the Walking Dead, you can't leave out blood. You just can't.
Right. No, I feel like you wouldn't be doing justice to the genre or just anything really, and even like with that page that you're looking at right now too and this is the old style that Demetrius brought. He kind of like adjusted it and did like the more Todd McFarlane kind of looking artwork now. It brings a lot of noir kind of feelings to it, which is actually, which is kind of cool in itself, is because when we were originally thinking about this idea, noir-ish kind of zombie genre storyline was the original intent of, or it still is, but that's like something that's coming later. We were originally going to make that like the forefront, but we were like, okay, why do that if we love the beginning of the apocalypse? Let's articulate on that, which is the first season basically, and let's start making our direction into the noir-ish kind of feeling to a zombie apocalypse, and hence why we did the cops as well. We were trying to convince ourselves not to do main characters that were cops, just because it seems like such a cliche deal, but it fits so perfectly for what we're trying to do. That's actually going to be so different in the genre as well in the future.
Yeah, and and again, I like that idea of like bringing like a noir detective into a zombie like story, because it's something that I'm sure has been done before, but not as much as it should. Because when you think about it, those two genres of storytelling are actually very compatible.
Yeah, and they really can be, depending on how you kind of articulate it as well. And I think a lot of what our plans are in the future as well are going to, I think, do some good justice to both of those kind of genres, and really kind of come up with some unique kind of storylines and taglines as well. Like we're already, like I already have a good understanding of what we're kind of looking at with season 3 as well. But before we even start getting there, we have to finish obviously 2. So we're kind of wrapping up the writing of 2, obviously, as we're finishing up the production of 1. So it's just like, so a lot of things are kind of coming together, and we're really excited to kind of keep moving forward.
That is terrific. So so to conclude, tell us about the stretch goals.
Yeah, so we have a few stretch goals here. Everybody likes free stuff, right? So the more people that kind of back us and help us kind of and support us and kind of getting this project out there, we offer a lot of different things. Like the first stretch goal would be a free bundle of stickers. The next we move on to button pins that actually came out very, very cool and very, very well. And then we move on to, you just get a free cover print for physical backers. Then we're doing like the free gold foiled kind of A thing to kind of fit that theme of like the gold bling kind of deal, especially with being the finale of season 1. And then we offer there, obviously you see the 100 backers will get a free PDF of issues 1 through 6. And one thing that I forgot to put on there that we're going to actually be putting on there too is once we get 50 backers, which is actually pretty close, we're going to be doing a zombie bundle, issue 1 bundle. I'm good friends with the people from Ray's Comics, Sam and Trey, and Lori Calcaterra from Path of the Pale Rider. So we're going to offer all of our issue 1's PDFs for free for those who would want it after we get 50 if we get 50 backers on our plate.
Oh, that's dope. So on that, thank you for coming to the show. Tell us where can we find you guys.
So obviously right here, first and foremost, Kickstarter will be the best place to find us to fulfill that goal and kind of so we can get our issue 6 out there to the eyes of many. After the fact, we have a website, Avalon Comic, which you showed earlier. We're on all social media platforms as well. When you find one of them, you'll be able to find us anywhere. So anybody who's really looking will be able to find us. And please contact us about anything. We're always open-eared to kind of helping out people and figuring out how we can kind of help people out.
Sweet. So thanks for coming on the show, man.
Thank you for having me on the show. Thank you for your time.
Anytime. And you're always welcome. So everyone, I put the link in Avalon to Avalon in the chat. I'll add it to the description of the stream, but stay heroic and we will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.